our child doesn't get to go in and just work with the really awesome black belt every single time. No, they are going to have to work with kids that are lower skilled with them. That's part of learning and growing and getting better.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of Off the Mat. My name is Josh Dumoulin, and this is
Nicole Dumoulin.
And you might be in this situation here where you have a highly competitive kid and you feel like they're just not in a class or in the sport or on the team where everybody else shares that same level of competitiveness.
And that's true.
And that's true. And that's okay. And today we've got 5 ways to kind of help you reframe everything in your thought on that, and how to help your child and yourself as well navigate that world, that classroom, that practice, that team, all of that stuff when you've got somebody who is highly competitive without sort of killing that flame, because that's the worst thing. You don't want that flame to be fizzled out. You know, we just look at how our boys are, and the last thing I want to do is watch something that they're so passionate about, but they work so hard at. Not everybody else maybe shares that same level of work ethic or that same competitiveness. So how do we navigate some of those things without drowning out that flame, without putting the spark away?
Right. And I find that like right now we're kind of in this weird time where I feel like because electronics and gaming and all of that stuff is kind of the norm, is that a lot of kids aren't willing to put in the work and even just play. Like not even talking about martial arts or sports or anything, but even in play, I notice it. Our boys are aggressive boys that play hard. But generally, like you get them in a big group of kids, and there's a lot of kids can't keep up to our kids. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, not saying that our kids are like just the best kids or anything, right. But like, yeah, they have this drive to be really, really good. And I know they get that from us. Like we are really driven people, and we don't want them to be put in a position where they are with other kids less driven, and then they kind of get, let themselves fall to that standard. But we want to keep that standard high for our kids, and maybe you have a similar kid too.
Right. But also just teaching them how this can actually be turned into a learning opportunity for them, even when they're in that situation where they might be the most competitive or the ones putting in the most effort. And this might be your child as well, because we see it all the time in class as well. There's just a few of the kids that just put in that little extra work, and not everybody wants to put in that same level, and that's okay. So how do we make sure that we keep our kids going on that same path? We keep them motivated, we keep them going, we keep the spark alive, we keep the fire going, and we make sure that they're not the ones. We still want to maintain that level where people still want to work with them. They still have a level of respect for them. They don't look at those kids as arrogant or egotistical or anything. No, they're just driven and they work hard. So how do we make sure that they're able to show that to other people, that, hey, I just work hard and I want the same for you too? So we got five lessons for you guys here that we've either used ourselves with our boys, or we've maybe given advice to other parents and everything too. So,
or things that we learned as being the competitive,
yes, especially
person.
number 5.
Yes,
you want to stick around for number 5, because that one might be, when we are writing all this out, that might be my favorite one. There is tip number 5 here, or lesson number 5, if you want to call it, because it's a very truthful, painful realization. The sooner you can kind of understand it
and embrace it,
it is really going to help the mindset around it, and it's going to help bring the other four things that we're talking about, kind of
Yes.
help bring them all together. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure stick around for number 5 there, because that might be the best one, but they all kind of work together. That's the really important thing here. We'll just start here with number 1. It's really important to just reframe the mismatch. And by mismatch, I mean maybe you're partnered up with an individual who's maybe not holding the pads as hard, who can't hold the kick paddle, hold the kick shield, or sparring to your level. Well, it's important to understand that we've got to reframe this mismatch, right? You've got a highly competitive kid. You've got somebody who's driven. You've got somebody who works hard and might have just that little extra skill, that little extra advantage over the other ones. So we've got to reframe this, right? And it's really important that this is actually a leadership opportunity. So we want to reframe this as you're the best, you're number one. Oh man, not everybody can keep up with you. With this is a leadership opportunity. This is a chance for you to now share your expertise, your advice on how to hold the kick paddles, how to spar better. This is a good opportunity for them to sort of work on and adapt to different play styles. And this is really, really important, because not every practice, not every class is a tryout, is a provincial, a state, nationals, a worlds. We've got to adapt to different play styles, regardless of how good you are. No matter where you are in your level, you've got to adapt to those different play styles. And that adaptability is really going to develop some skills for them later on. So reframing to your child that this is a leadership opportunity for you in your class, and you might see the frustration from your child and you're thinking, oh my goodness, they're going to want to, I don't know, they might want to quit. You've got to reframe this. So as parents, we have to reframe this to our child. This is a leadership opportunity. Like, instead of getting frustrated with how they're holding the paddles, why aren't you teaching them how to hold the paddles? Like, turn it back around. But also, as a parent, when you're getting frustrated that the other kids can't hold the paddles for your kids, why aren't you turning this into a leadership opportunity with you and your child? Hey, next time you're in class and you're working with little Johnny over there, show him how to hold the paddles like you. Not everybody knows how to hold them. Wow, the coach tells us all the time how to hold them. Maybe they missed that lesson. Maybe they didn't hear, how we should hold the paddles. So it's important, like, why don't we turn this into that leadership opportunity? Because that skill right there is going to be really, really important for them, And you mentioned something about B games. This was really important too. So
Okay, my entire martial arts career, it's not like I always worked with the people above me. There was a lot of that. That helps make you better. But a good majority of the time, I played or sparred or practiced with people that were the same level or below me. And I still continued to get better, because when I worked with people that weren't at the same skill level, I worked on my B game. My B game, what I mean by that is the skills that I was less proficient in. Because in a world like martial arts sparring, Taekwondo sparring, there are 1,000 different plays, right? And you can't be 110% at all 1,000 plays at 14 years old. Like, you just can't be. So you've got like your really good combinations that you love to throw and that you're really, really good at and very proficient at. And every time you throw them, you're going to score on those plays. That's your A game. When you're paired with someone that's lower than you, or the skill level is lower, you're going to work on your B game or your C game, and you're going to take those combinations or techniques and you're going to really perfect them against a partner that is lower skilled than you. What happens when that happens is that this player, I get to work on my less proficient skills, which aren't as good, which is better leveled with my partner. And in turn, they get to rise because they get to actually work on their own skills as well. And then we all rise because we're all going to get better, right? My B game gets better. Their A game is getting better. So the next time we meet, our skill levels can go up.
right.
Okay. And that's a big thing about a martial arts school, is that you're not always going to train with the people above you. That's not what it's about. We are a community, and we are there for all of us to get better. And this isn't just martial arts. This would be any team sport
Yep.
or any sport. Like,
Rider with baseball.
right. You can't always work with the people that are above you. And because by that mentality, who would the people at the top train with?
Right. And how fair is it for them to train with you?
Right. So like you can't always expect to train with the people above you. You have to train with the people below you, and you have to get your B games under control. And in turn, everybody rises because of that. Okay, so we as parents too also have to understand that we can't expect that our child is going in to work with the black belt. Right? Our child doesn't get to go in and just work with the really awesome black belt every single time. No, they are going to have to work with kids that are lower skilled with them. That's part of learning and growing and getting better. Right? So yeah, that's what I was talking about B games, and then everybody just levels up that way.
I like that one a lot because I can't tell you how many times I worked on these techniques that I don't get the opportunity to work with when I was working with people that could spar with me. I couldn't use that lead leg hook kick followed up with my shift back side kick, followed up with my blitz punch in, because they were too quick for me.
Right. I wasn't going to work on my my slip and dodge with the black belt.
Right.
Like when I was younger, that's not how I got good at that. I needed to work on like the slip and dodge, whatever. I'm just like making up terms, but whatever skill it was that I wasn't good at, I couldn't go into the ring and just start practicing it with the ultimate black belt that's there.
Right.
No, I had to practice it down first, right? So, but me practicing it down, and I don't mean it down, it's just like the easiest way to like describe it right now. So if I'm practicing down, that person that I'm partnered with is also being called to rise because it's a rise for them, right?
That's right.
And that's just how it works. And we have to be okay with that. And we have to teach our kids that just because you're training or practicing with someone that's not as strong as you, not as fast as you, not as skilled as you, doesn't mean you can't get better.
That's right.
You actually are going to work on your B game. And that could be, like I said, whatever skills you're not proficient in. Could be your left side, it could be your timing, it could be your front foot, could be your back foot, it could be your, your front hand, your back hand, whatever it is, you're going to work on your B game with that partner. And everybody's just going to rise from that.
That's right.
I look back at my training, it wasn't like I only trained with people better than me.
No.
I mean, 80%, I would say 80% of the time I trained with other kids that were the same level or below.
That's right.
And then there's this 20% of the time that I got the opportunity to train up, right? So I trained with the higher ups or better skilled than me or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so just really important there, just to reframe this entire idea of it with your child, explaining to them that, one, this is a leadership opportunity, and two, this is a chance for you to just work on those skills that you need the extra work on. Again, but also as the parent, when you're watching it too, it might feel frustrating at first when you see it, but you've got to reframe your mind around it too. How can this be a leadership opportunity for my kid to get better? And how can they work on those skills that they're just needing more work on? They're not dodging to the side enough. This is a great chance to practice it right now. Oh, they're only dodging backwards when they got to work on these things. So work on those when you're sparring with certain people and just learn to adapt. But that adaptability and adapting to different play styles, that is so important. So number 2, teach them a 10-second partner script. Like really just come up and practice though. You can't just tell them, you've got to practice this with them. Like practice how to communicate with them. Rep through what it is they're going to tell their partner, what it is that they need to, and then practice it. Have them practice with you. This partner doesn't know how to hold a drill. Our kids don't know how to communicate to them how to hold this we've got to show our kids how to communicate to this person who doesn't know how to do this. That way they can keep up with your kid. If you take 10 minutes before a class, after a practice, at some point with your child to just kind of practice a script with them on how to communicate better with their teammates, you're going to save yourself hours of frustration later on when they go to every single class and those kids just still can't figure out how to hold that paddle. You're right. They haven't been told how to. They haven't been communicated with. So just teach them a really 10-second script. So just here's a simple one, just really simple. Can you hold this high or this high, like this height, with a firm grip for 20 reps? If the coach gave you guys 20 reps to practice a certain kick or a certain technique, can you hold it this height with a firm grip for 20 reps? Just start with that. But practice that. Like, they have to practice it with you, so that way when they go and tell this kid who now they have to work in with class, they've got to learn how to express this to them. So just teach them a 10-second script. See the thing that they've had frustration with, and then practice communication around that, so that way they can communicate to their partners just how to be at that stage where they're at.
Right. Yeah. And then, so being able to ask that initial request for if they're holding pads, because we see this a lot, right? You get two kids partnered up, one kid is going to hold the pad, but they just don't have they don't have the same drive that we're talking about, but they also may not have the strength yet either.
That's a big one too.
So that's the thing, is teach them how to make that initial request, but then also be open to adjusting it. So what I mean is, if you say, okay, for 20 reps, if they really can't hold for 20 reps that strength, okay, we're going to take a breath. Okay. And then we're back up. So maybe we're going to do 5 reps at a time, so that pad holder can get a break. Also, if I have the competitive kid against the non-competitive kid and we ask them to hold the paddle, we also need to be, again, it's like working on the B game. Am I going to power kick this paddle with a kid that clearly doesn't have the strength to hold 20 reps of my turning kick, right? No, I've got to adjust something. So what am I going to work on? Am I going to focus on the balance or the pivot of my foot, or am I going to focus on speed? So am I going to focus on precision? Because I can hit the pad here. I don't have to hit through the pad. Do you know what I mean? So like, I can adjust my game to get good and still be respectful of my partner and still get my partner to rise.
Definitely. Yeah. And that's just it. So take the situation that's going on, whether it's how to hold, and then rep through with them a communication practice. Like, just tell them, practice with them how to explain to their partner. But don't just say to your kid, well, tell the partner how to hold better. Okay, show your kid how to give that message clearly. So it's 2 parts. We've got to show our kids how to communicate that message, that way our kids can then communicate that message to their partner.
I think overall, as parents, looking in, we underestimate how hard it is to hold the paddle as an 8-year-old.
That's a big one too.
As a 10-year-old,
Yep.
even
you said it earlier about maybe not even just having the muscle strength.
Yeah, they just don't have the muscle strength to hold the pad. That's why I'm saying, okay, maybe we got to do 5 reps instead of 20.
Right.
Because they really don't have and it's no fault of their own.
No.
It's not because they're not working hard either. They're 8 years old. They're 9 years old. They still need to work up that strength.
And even just thinking, I know we're going on to, but just thinking about that when you're watching them, sometimes it's hard to see or understand what somebody's level of hard is.
Yes.
Or level of effort is. That kid there, and this is why the next tip that we're going to go into is also really important too. You just see your kid.
Yeah.
You're not paying attention to the other kid. You don't know their progression over the years. How much have they improved? Are they working just as hard as your kid to their level too? So we're just like, oh, they're not holding hard enough. They're not doing this hard enough. They might be really giving it their all. They just not quite there.
Right. And you might see them, starting to quiver and shake after 5
Yeah.
reps, but you don't realize that they couldn't hold for 1 rep
Right.
when they first started or whatever, right? So
Yes.
we tend to just see our own kid and not understand the what's gone into the partner. Yeah.
Number 3, ask the coach. Just straight up go and ask the coach. But you might be thinking we're going to go straight to ask the coach to tell them to partner them up with better people. Again, going back to what you had said earlier, it's not going to just be that easy. You're not just all of a sudden, oh, you're in this class here, and because you went and talked to the coach, they're just going to suddenly put you in this class. Because you had mentioned something earlier. What does that benefit the class that you are requesting they go to?
Right.
Like, so when we say ask the coach, it's like it's time to take some ownership on this one here. And what drills can the coach maybe show you to practice, right? Like
Yeah.
what go ask the coach, what should your focus be for your
Yes.
son
Yeah.
or daughter? What is it that they can focus on? Be like, hey, listen, what's my son's B game?
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going for is like,
Yes.
okay, maybe you don't know what their B game is or what could be their
Right.
B game because I said there's like 1,000 different plays in martial arts,
Yep.
right? In sparring. So like you've got your 3 or 4 or 5 maybe combinations
Yeah.
that belong in your A game. You know those are your A game, but you're like, I have no idea about my B game.
Yeah.
Okay, so work with a coach. Let's put together a few B game plays
Mm-hmm.
for you. And then those are the ones that you're going to work on when you're with a partner that is,
Yep.
lower skilled than you.
Yep.
Because then you're going to get better. They're also going to get
Mm-hmm.
better.
And keep in mind too, when we're saying go ask the coach already knows your son or daughter is also more competitive. They know too. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like you're gonna go to them and be like, I think my son's got a little bit more competitiveness to them. They're gonna be like, really? Like, yes, the coach knows too. And they're working their own stuff with everybody else and trying to get everybody through these things. So again, when you go and ask the coach, it's like, what can my son or daughter work on that they're lacking in right now? You know what? They don't know how to step to their right very good. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to do any angle steps. Like if as soon as they switch sides, they're lost. I want them when they're working with these people here, they have to fight on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have to train on this side here. They can only throw their left leg. They can only dodge uh, you know, to the one side here. They can't go backwards. Like work on, like ask them what it is that they can work on when they're in these. So if you think it's go ask the coach to put them in a better class, or go ask the coach, can you hold for them every class? Ain't gonna happen, because they've got to learn to adapt to these ones here, lift the rest of the class up, and then eventually they're gonna be that one
Mm-hmm.
that is gonna be in that next stage.
Going to the coach for the strategies, which the coach will already know what to tell you. But then the coach can also give you drills, right? So drills that you
Yes.
can do at home, and we're going to get into that as well. But that you can do at home or like maybe at the dojang or whatever. And then the thought that I was having is like you might also ask the coach in the moment. So this we were kind of talking like this would be a conversation that you have after class or whatever. But let's say you're partnered with a person in the ring and you're like, I don't know how to work with this person. Call the coach over, ask, hey, I don't know how to do this. This kid or my partner can't hold the pad. What do we do here? How do we make it better so that we're both learning and growing?
Mm-hmm.
And the coach will be able to tell you that. Same if you're sparring, the coach will be able to come over and help you guys like figure out what needs to happen in that sparring match so that you guys can all rise.
That's right.
Right? So call them over in the moment as well as like have those conversations after class. Another thing that might come out of a conversation with a coach is maybe there is a certain skill or something that could be benefited by getting a private lesson with a specific coach.
Yep.
And that's like where you might be training up, right?
Yes.
Um, if you want elite level coaching, you got to seek out those opportunities.
Yes.
So,
That's a big one too. And
mhm.
sometimes that's just that's the cards you're dealt. You have a competitive individual. you've got to be prepared to put in a little bit of that too. You know, there's going to be some extra stuff that you're going to have to do. There's going to be some extra hours on the floor. There's going to maybe be some extra lessons, some extra privates, all of those things. And, you
Right.
know,
Yeah. Some private
if you want to
lessons with
keep that
specific
going,
coaches. Just kind of more on this topic is I look back about when I trained, and I mean, both of us were very competitive, high level competitors in Taekwondo. So I think about what was it that I did. And during my regular class, right, I trained with 80% of the time was with the people at my level or below, and I still continued to get better. There was that, maybe 20% of the time that I had the opportunity to train with people above me in class. But that class time, you know, just having that mentality, why should the higher ups always train with the lowers, right? Like, or the other way around, I guess. It just can't always happen, right? Everyone's got to train with everybody so
mm-hmm.
that everybody gets better. But what I would do consistently is I would ask those higher ups. I would let them have their hard training session with the people that were going to be able to push them really hard. But then I would say, hey, can I have an extra round or two with you after class?
Yeah.
And get your coach's permission and all that. So it depends on what your situation at your dojang is. But I did that consistently. So it wasn't like this big grand thing all the time. It was like, hey, can I work with you for 1 or 2 rounds after class? And of course, those people at the top, what do you think they're going to say when they get asked? They're going to say yes
Yeah.
because they're at that level, because their higher ups did that for them, right?
That's right.
So you have to be willing to show up for the lower level and the higher level. Like, it's just a group community effort to make everybody better. I feel like this is a good moment for me to say shout out to Mr. Christie and Scott Murphy that, like, I remember they were the ones that, like, pushed me around after class.
Number 4, at home work. Like, this is where you're just going to have to. And don't think this is at home work. Like, go and practice this combination in your room or in the living room. Be prepared to do the work with them. I cannot tell you guys how many hours I've spent at the cages
Yeah.
because Ryder just does not get enough. And we go to a cage where I have to throw the ball for him. And I have taken line drives from him to my ankle, to my knee, shoulder, and head. From like when you throw it and the back connects off and it flies at me. Like I took one on the ankle a couple weeks ago and it just heaved and was like, oh. You've got to be prepared to do some work at home with them, because they're just they're itching. You have a highly competitive kid. They want to get this out. Be prepared to work at home.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can get into like how to work at home, all of that stuff. That's not really the point here. But when you've got that highly competitive kid, you need to be prepared to work at home too with them a little bit.
Thank you for always taking Ryder to the cages. Yeah, Josh does a lot with Ryder at the cages, and I'm grateful that I'm not the one that has to throw the ball.
But here's the thing: I don't know baseball. I never played baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I never. I just didn't play. I played t-ball when I was 5. That was it. That was the extent of my baseball. I never watched it. I never got into watching it on TV, or I went to one Blue Jays game when we went to Toronto one year. I can't remember how old I was, 18 or 19. I was never into baseball. But I go out of my way. I stay up late watching videos on baseball, different drills that I can do, because the drills I'm going to know from martial arts and Taekwondo aren't going to necessarily always. There's going to be some crossover that I'm like, hey, we do similar stuff. But I'm not going to have that same thing that's going to help him with certain things. There's certain little footwork things that I'm like, hey, we do that. That's really cool. That I can adapt and work with him. And I can be like, hey, remember this from a class we did? Yeah, cool. We're going to do the same thing. That's kind of cool how that crosses over, right? But I go out of my way. I seek the videos. I go out of my way to find these things. And then we've created our own little rituals. He has a warm-up ritual. We've created that. We've developed that. And then we just straight up practice. You know, in the morning sometimes we go out and play catch if we've got some time in the morning. We go on Sundays, and Sundays usually turns into a 2-hour cage practice. Last Sunday was 3 hours because he needed that. He just had that itch to just keep going. So I better find that energy deep down, and I better be ready to put it in there with him too.
There's also some educating that we can do with our kids so that they understand the other training that they can do at home that's going to make them better, and so that they understand the work that is required. Like, they are like itching to be at this level, and we need to educate them that it takes this much work to be at that level, and that they can take responsibility for doing things that's going to get them to that level, right? So does that mean like some strength training, or, you know, just different training that they can do that will help them in their sport? It doesn't always have to be like going to the cages.
Well, that's what I was just going to say too, is sometimes those 2-hour sessions at the cages isn't straight hitting for 2
Right,
hours.
yeah.
We're in the tunnel, and sometimes he's just doing like, you know, dive practices.
Right.
Sometimes he's doing some footwork shuffles.
And the thing about Ryder, like, he'll go out on the deck now at our place and just throw the ball. Like, it's like target practice, right? So like there's things that he's doing because he realizes like he's got to get better at the little things, right? It's not always just about the grand slam, but like,
And the ball at home is what? It's a fuzzy
Yeah.
snowball.
Yeah.
It's an indoor snowball.
Yeah,
It's an
basically.
indoor snowball.
so that he can't break
dodgeball.
anything.
Yeah, that's what he uses. But he practices the form with this fuzzy little thing to just rep.
Right.
And
But
rep.
yeah, I think some kids might not realize that they can do all kinds of things to get better at their chosen sport at home. So like, I remember as a kid, like, I did all kinds of drill. Like, if you go to talk to your coach and your coach says, "Oh, here's some drills," like those drills, do those at home.
Do them.
Don't waste like dojang time doing the drills. Do the drills at home.
Yeah, just going to end with at home. It's like you got to do it with them. And when they're at home doing this, I have a hard time too sometimes. Like, sometimes it drives me crazy how many times he grabs the bat, grabs this ball, and he's tossing it, and you just hear thunk, thunk,
Yeah.
thunk, and it's kind of just. But I go, man, I don't want him to stop that.
Yeah.
So just I'll deal with that, and I'll
Yeah.
be okay with that.
Yeah.
And
I know when
I'll
I'm
suffer
hearing the thunk, I'm like, oh my gosh. Then at some point I do have to ask him to stop, because there's only like,
Well, there's neighbors.
Well, there's neighbors, but like, if we need to like make a phone call or something, I'm like, okay, we need to stop for a second.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
funny.
No,
But I don't want him to stop that either.
Just be prepared at home, but do the work with them. Set
And-
up some time, and will go into another episode we have planned about practicing at home, so we won't go too much into this, but just be prepared, set up some time. Ours is Sundays at 9, and we go at 9 because that's when the cage opens, and if I waited longer.
And I always talk to him about, I'll bring up like his favorite player, baseball player, like Corbin Carroll. And I'll always be like, do you think Corbin Carroll does this or this, right? Like, and he's like, oh yeah. Like, I get him to think about, okay, what do the professionals do?
Yeah.
And I think we've talked about that before too, is like, if you want to be a professional, do the things that the professional do. So
That's right. All right. Last but not least, definitely my favorite one here as we were going through it. And just if you can teach them this and get them to understand this, it will help them out a lot. And that is, I'm going to let you kind of take this one here, but it is number 5. It is a lonely road.
it is. Yeah. So if your child is one of those ones that's got the sights set on the gold medal at the World Championships in Taekwondo, it is a lonely road because not everyone is going to understand that drive. Not everyone is going to understand that goal. Not everyone is going to understand like why you would give up a whole bunch of other things to focus on that goal, right? And when you're in it, it doesn't seem like it's a lonely road, because like when you're at a tournament, you're surrounded by all of these amazing elite people. But then when you're not at the tournament, you're not surrounded by those elite people anymore. And that's where it gets lonely, is because you have to put in all this work and you're driven and you want to get to that gold medal podium at the World Championships. There's a lot of loneliness that happens there, because you have to choose training and practice and the hard work and the suffering and the hard stuff over the other stuff, right? Like, so sometimes you might have to, you skip out on gaming, or you skip out on certain other activities, right? Like birthday parties or whatever, like because you have practice. Or the other night was a good example for us. Ryder had a baseball game, but there was also a Diamondback game that night, and Flow Rider was performing at that one, which we would have liked to go to that game, but we don't, because Ryder wants to be good at baseball. So we have to give up on some of the fun stuff so that he can do his baseball practice, right? Or like, right now it's like the thick of baseball season for Ryder, but like both of them are still doing martial arts, right? So like the martial arts training, we want to be good, we want to get a black belt one day, right? That has to take precedence over sitting at home on TV. That has to take precedence over gaming. Like, just understanding that it is going to be a lonely road sometimes. You're going to feel very alone sometimes.
Yeah. But also, yes, it's going to be lonely, but teach them that it doesn't necessarily have to be lonely, and you might feel alone at times. So embrace the community that you have. That's why it's so important to, going back to number one and adapting certain things, because you've got people who have your back and you have people with you. So yes, you might feel it's lonely and it's this and this and this and this. And yes, it's going to be, and it's going to feel like that at times, but you still have those people with you.
Right.
And so, you know what? Yes, they might not have that same level of drive. They might not have that same level and it can feel a little, but they're still with you. They're still in the corner, and you can lift them up, and you can do all these things. And if you tie in all of the lessons here with them, and you teach them all these things, it's going to make it easier for them to understand this, and that they've got these people with them.
Like you're going to have some really awesome cheerleaders at the dojang, right? If you train with everybody and you're helping to lead others that are not at your level yet, and so you are going to have a really supportive community behind you. There are going to be times where you might have to train alone, right? You might have to do the work alone at home because you're trying to be at that elite level, which means you need to do elite level things.
That's right.
And that might be lonely sometimes.
That's right. Well, listen, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Comment below which one was your favorite, or maybe which one you're going to take and use with your child, or even just for yourself, because there was some stuff in here that, like I said, as parents, we need to improve, so that way we can then pass those lessons on to our child. So tell us which one was your favorite here, and we'd love to hear from it, and maybe other things that you've dealt with too, because I would also like to hear, what have other parents with competitive kids who don't want that spark to go away, what have you done to ensure that that spark, that fire, all of that stuff stays lit? And what have you done to help them through it? What are some things that you have done and taken and tried? Because we'd love to hear from other people as well. We don't know all of it. So just to kind of run through all of those again, those 5 little tips there: reframe that mismatch, use this as a leadership opportunity, teach them a script to use with their partners and their classmates. Ask the coach, but don't ask them to get partnered up with better people all the time, because that's just not, again, going to just always help them. Ask them what their focus needs to be. What is their B game that they can practice at home work? Do the work with them. Get a set of focus pads, get a shield, get a paddle. Practice at home with them. Learn how to move. YouTube your own drills that you can help them with. I don't know baseball, but I certainly spent a lot of time searching up baseball drills. In fact, last Sunday, that's all we did. We came here. That's why we were gone for so long. Because last Sunday, we came here and we sat here for an hour and a half. I on one screen, him on another, and we were just flipping through like, hey, that's a cool drill. Write that down. And we sat there just jotting drills down. Okay? And lastly, just understand sometimes it's going to feel lonely. It doesn't have to, though. If you've got their back, and you teach them that other people have their back too. But at times, yes, it is going to feel lonely. It is going to feel like you are the only person in the room who understands what you're going through. And yes, at times that is just going to be true. But if you can kind of teach them that, you know what, sometimes that's just how it is. And not everybody understands it, but it's also not their job to understand your drive and your competitiveness to win. Anyway, everybody, I really hope that you guys liked this episode. Again, comment below which one was your favorite or what you have done with your child who might also be a competitive kid. Please like and subscribe to the channel here. It really does help us out. We just hit 100 subscribers, so I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but that is really awesome to us, and we are really, really excited about it. So check us out on YouTube and just go ahead and just give us a little like or a subscribe there. We'd love to hear it. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Off the Mat. My name is Josh Dumoulin, and this is
Nicole Dumoulin.
and we'll see you guys all next time.
Ciao.